Right ADV here, the part 4 of our accumulated kilometres on the Tenere series and what we're doing here in Australia. We up to 150,000 plus now, a little bit quiet probably over Christmas, about 145 or something. And a few things we've got to share now with these things getting 25,000 and 30,000 Ks on them, accumulative, on each bike, sorry. You'll notice it's got a Camel tank on it. We'll talk about that later. We'll answer some of the questions. We'll cover off the alt-rider 2-step brake pedal. We'll talk about the arrow exhaust. We'll talk about the chains and sprockets because we've had to change out chain and sprockets. Cush bearings, we've noticed the cush bearings around the 15 to 20,000 K mark we're getting done, and we've also had to do the headset bearings in the bikes because they don't come with enough grease from the factory, and be as busy as we are, we didn't get onto them before they were ruined, so that was a bad one on us. First up, I'm going to talk about the Camel tanks now. Camel's come on board with Right ADV now, and they're going to support us. So we've just done a deal for slightly cheaper parts. We're still paying for them, and Corey and I had a discussion about that, and it gives us the right that we like here. I mean, we'd rather probably not pay for something, but we also like the ability that if we've paid for it, it gives us a free right to give it whatever rating it needs. Now first up, the Camel tank. That's impressed me straight out of the box. Probably only got about 2,500 Ks on it so far. Excuse me, but I did ride it in some really hilly country with a lot of woo boys. Now in Australia we have drainage mounds where in the middle of a track they'll run a mound off at an angle and it's for drainage, and we call them woo boys because you're going, oh shit, woo boy, and then you launch off them. Okay, so you get a lot of suspension use on that. The tank's very easy to fit, and I'll go through that a little bit. And it's been great, and it's a great asset. Now I've always been carrying a rotor pack, as all of our bikes have, and we'll continue to carry a rotor pack even though we have the tank. We don't use the rotor packs much ourselves on the East Coast especially, so the rotor packs we carry for our customers on our rides in case they run out of fuel. So traditionally we haven't used it much. We did use it when we went out west a bit, and that's 5.1 litres, and you don't even notice it's there because we're used to having that little bit of weight there. It's also, the centre of gravity is lower than the fuel tank anyway, so you can see in the height difference, and it uses that first. So it's turned out to be a pretty good thing. The bolt up is easy. Now on this one we've used a Camel tail tidy, and the later tanks that are coming out now, you can actually keep the original Yamaha tail, but we used a Camel tail tidy. It was easy to fit up too, and the tank. So the bracket goes under there, comes across onto that. That's easy. The front bracket comes up here on our pillion peg mount, which was also shared with our Right ADV racks, which is also shared with our Greg pegs that we use. So that's all as one, and the tank bolts on, easy. Around the other side, there's a check valve. So we have a breather from the fuel tank. It goes down to a one-way check valve. It goes to the charcoal canister, and then it goes to atmosphere here. All right. Now, what Corey did, you pull the one-way check valve out, and you put the the breather from the tank into the bottom of the Camel tank. And then the breather in the top of the Camel tank goes back down and into the charcoal canister. So this just becomes part of the breather as such. So as the electric pump in the tank sucks the fuel level down, the vacuum draws it from the bottom of this tank up into this tank, and it breathes out through the back of the tank, down through, and in through the charcoal canister. A bit annoying in that it's that simple. I didn't think of it myself, but it's a good thing. At this stage, we say it's a good thing. We're going to test a couple more, but as with anything we do, until we've done probably a minimum of at least 10,000 Ks in tough conditions, we're going to say it's continue to test. But it's a good thing so far. Quality fittings, you know, coarse thread there that's easy to use. Tank's easy to fill. If you want to get a bit extra in it, just make sure the bike's upright when you fill it up. So it's been pretty cool. Now, really, really good. That may be something that we may knock. I don't know. We'll have to watch it, but at this stage, it hasn't been a drama. It fits in perfectly with our Right ADV racks. It fits with the Outback Motor Trek asymmetrical racks. It fits with the Outback Motor Trek symmetrical racks. And that stage, that's all we know about it. I do believe it works with the genuine racks, but I can't be sure on it. At that stage, that's been a really good thing. So while I'm talking about Camel products, we'll cover off the anti-bobble head we've got up the top here. Now, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about the head area of the T7. When I say the heads up display or the dash area and that, some things we've learnt. The anti-bobble head basically just stops the speedo wobbling around. It clamps at the top here, and it bolts in down the bottom. I'll go through that in a minute. Very easy to fit, and I haven't watched Corey's video, but I think we've made it a bit easier, Corey. We just pull the screen off. There's two 5mm Allen keys. We drop the speedo forward, and then we just use a short Allen key and we fit it up down the bottom. If you can just slide in over here. So it bolts in down the bottom down there, and in there, and at the top here. And that just makes it a lot more stable. Now, we had a guy recently on a ride, and he had a chock made up in the back there, and it was made out of 3D printer. It broke. People are sticking, if we can zoom in here, Clay. People are sticking bits of rubber in these areas here that stop it shaking and vibrating. I worry a little bit that it's stressing areas that we haven't seen stress on before, and maybe not designed for it. And even this, and maybe it's designed to move around a little bit, but I know driving out of a corner on corrugations, and we get a fair bit of corrugations on where we ride, it really does hammer. It really does vibrate. The last Camel thing I want to talk about, because we haven't bought all the Camel stuff. We do have a high guard kit, and I've been through high guards and why we don't like them, and I might cover that off again later, but this is the Camel one finger clutch, or light pull clutch, or one finger clutch. It's a really nice bit of kit. So that's splined on the inside there, and it goes here, gives you a longer arm, and we did try a longer arm, and it didn't work. And now I know why it didn't work. He's also made up a new mount, because you need, if you're changing the angle of where the cable's picking up, you need to be able to change the angle of the outer cable, otherwise you're going to be dragging it out of the outer at an angle on where the cable. You want to zoom in here for a sec, Clay? So that obviously replaces that, and you can adjust the twist on that. But the trouble is, with the OEM crash bars, we can't put it on. It's too long. So, it's one of those things, isn't it? We could go to SW Motec crash bars. The trouble with the SW Motec crash bars is I'm not real tall, and I find when I slide forward, I hit my knee on them. We could go to the Outback Motor Track crash bars, which probably are the best protection on the market, to be honest. But for my way of thinking, they're just a little bit heavy for what we want, and I don't think my boys really need them. So this is what we chose, and they're the reasons why this is the OEM crash bar. And just while you're here, Clay, here's the fuel hoses I was talking about before. That's the suction hose, and the one behind it is the vent hose going to the charcoal canister, and that's where the one-way valve was for the Camel tank. Here is an alt-rider, I don't know, what's it called? Whatever, brake pedal. Now, I remember when I first saw this a few years ago, Steve from Adventure Moto said, "Oh, have a look at this." And I'm thinking, so what am I going to ride? And I've got my safety shoes. I'm going to ride straight like this, and then I'm going to be pigeon-toe when I stand up, like, oh, I'm gonna Charlie Chaplin. But, in all seriousness, when you stand up, you seem to pull your feet in a little bit. So this thing, now I don't know if you ride your Tenere, you get your pedal up as high as you can, we've found, and it's great when you're sitting down, but when you get a little bit of wear in the pads, you're doing the whole, you're looking for a gymnast that can sort of bend that much. Oh, well, I know I am anyway. So this thing here, once you train your memory muscles and you train your mind, just make sure you kick your foot in a little bit. That's the standing up position, and that's the sit down position. Quite simply, that's one of the best things I've bought. I had to get it out of America because our local agent is out of stock and whatever, but yeah, that's a good thing. So if you buy nothing else for your bike, that's a really good thing if you do a lot of standing up, on which we do over here. Actually, while I'm over here, I know I'm just trying to clean this up a little bit. Rooster, you want to scoot over to the sticker drawer and grab one of them? This is it's a sticker, right? So there's been some purchases over the years where maybe it's late at night, maybe I've had a few bevies, maybe I'm not, you know, and I can have a little bit of impulse buying. I saw these and I can't think for the life of me where now. It might be Allied Express, it might be Wish, I don't know, like seriously I don't know. And they're frame protectors, right? And they stick on, use a heat gun, put them on, and they've been there for a hell of a long time. You can see how hard I rubbed my boots and I rubbed the paint off, and they were still going. And I just like, can we just turn to our fashion model here, Rooster, who hands us all the stuff? And
yo,
yeah, he's lovely, man. So that's them there. We stuck them on. They actually work, and I don't know how much they were, and I really can't tell you much about them. If anyone asks, I will go through and I'll find them. They came from Europe, so they must be special, or maybe from Sweden. I don't know, huh? From Sweden, no offense. So yeah, they were pretty good, eh? And they seem to be hanging in there. The boys wanted to shoot these in one of the previous videos, and I said, you know, yeah, we'll have to put some miles on them because I think they'll fall off. They haven't fallen off. They've been a good thing. I'm going to talk suspension part 76, and so anyone that knows this knows that, look, the suspension testing's been going on now for the better part of 8 months. We ran some stuff initially from Technics, and they were working on homegrown valving solutions for the forks using the OEM forks and the OEM shock. And Nick at Technics is very very fussy, and so Nick decided that he would buy some Ollins cartridge kits and some Ollins shocks, some tractive cartridge kits, both the 35mm open and the 35mm closed dual piston, two tractive shocks, two different spec tractive shocks, Andriani off-road cartridge kits, TFX shock, and the K-Tech valving kits for the shock and the OEM forks. Now, to date, and we're only a month away from finishing all this, and for those watching, we really are trying to get this done as quick as we can. Nick's not going to go to market until it's spot on. There may be, you know, people out there believe they've got the mousetrap solved, but I tell you they haven't. And it's been interesting. They may have, to be fair, but they may not have it 100% perfect, and that's what he's aiming at. And he's paid for the stuff, and we've tested it to the best of our ability. And when I say tested, we haven't run around the block or done 400 Ks. We're talking, you know, up to 4,000 or 5,000 Ks on each unit. So the remaining tests this weekend coming is we've got the Ollins cartridge kits in this bike and the Ollins shock, and we've got the K-Tech valving here in the forks and the K-Tech valving in the OEM shock. Now, a couple of things have come out of all this. So the dual piston 35mm forks from Tractive and the Tractive shock that's 30mm, they're both 30mm higher. I'll go on record to say it altered the centre of the gravity enough of the bike that you actually noticed it. It made the bike more nervous at high speed on dirt roads, and it also in slow technical stuff, first gear, on the pegs, slow technical stuff, you can notice the centre of gravity of the bike was different. And I spoke to another guy who's very, very, very experienced, far more experienced than me, and he said the same thing. So that's been interesting. Now, he's got two 700s. One he's got like a customer base 700, one he's got like his race 700, and the guy is very, very experienced, Dakar style. He's competed there, and so that bike probably suits him. But for most, and when I say most, I'm saying 95 or 99% of guys that ride 700s do not need to spend that money. And we're talking $3,000 odd for a dual piston 35mm cartridge kit. So the idea of Technics taking all this stuff and getting us to test it and then running it on their dyno is that they want to develop an OEM package for guys that don't want to buy an Ollins cartridge kit. Okay, they want, or don't want to buy an Andriani cartridge kit or a Tractive or a Rally Raid or whatever. They want to have their OEM stuff done. Like for $1,100 odd, you're going to have the best of all the stuff that we've tested, and Nick's built into the OEM stuff with their valving and springs, etc. The Andriani off-road kit is probably the best, in my opinion, of what we've tested. And it's at this stage, it's been very popular with the crew. The key to that is Andriani off-road. These Ollins ones, the Tractive ones, and this is sharing my opinion and an opinion with the crew, and even the Tractive a little, the K-Tech a little bit, are very harsh initially. And we think it's because they're made in Europe and they don't do the sort of off-road that we do. And we need that supple little bit to start. We deal with a lot of corrugations, we do a lot of small edge stuff, and we deal with it at high speed and stuff. So the off-road, and the word Andriani off-road could be the key to it. It's a bit more of an off-road cartridge, where I think over there they're doing more road miles or smoother sort of miles, and that's where we notice the difference. Everything we've tested has been tested, obviously sprung from my slightly larger body mass, or the body mass of whichever the rider is, and nothing's been tested. They've just gone straight in. Okay, Nick's made no valving changes. We did make, first up, so they'll go off when they get tested 4,000 or 5,000 Ks. Come back and we sit down, we talk to Nick, and then he's gone in and made a change. Now Andriani, to their credit, have since responded, and they've made changes and they're sending 10 kits out to Nick, and they should be there now, if not almost there. So kudos to them, because they've responded with what's going on for what we're doing out here. And others might do that. The Ollins stuff, I tested initially, and it, to be honest, really wasn't my cup of tea. I didn't spend enough time with it. I needed to test something else. I was asked to, so we re-sprung it for Crash, and he's testing now, and he's getting it there. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm going to ride with him this weekend, and we'll see. The K-Tech, it was installed and then ran on the dyno and then given to me, sprung for me and given to me. The boys did report at Technics it was a bit funky with a bit of bleed on the shock in the dyno testing, but we'll just go and test it and see how it goes. So that's where we are with suspension testing. And like I said, you'll be able to buy an Ollins kit off Nick, or an Andriani kit, or some K-Tech stuff, or whatever you want. But for 90% of guys, most guys are there, you'll also be able to buy a lot cheaper, $1,100, $1,200 sort of thing, a full setup OEM sprung for your weight. The other thing that's come out of this, and I haven't heard a lot of other people say this, Nick and I, after talking about this a lot, decided there may be two packages. For the guys that want to ride them like a 450 in the bush and jump them, there may be a package for them. And for the guy that wants to be able to do cart his bags and do his weight and roll his woo boys, and remember there'll be 20 questions later on the woo boys and what they are. Roll his woo boys and not so much jump it all the time. Well then, and then be able to come home in the afternoon and punch out 400 or 500 Ks of dirt road or bitumen to get home, and doesn't want that initial harsh bit that you get when you're jumping, because it only has so much travel to work with. Then that might be another option there, and that'll be cleared up when we do those videos. Okay, so I'm going to talk pannier bags. Now, we developed our right ADV racks with Sand Engineering right from the go-get. So we're now 18 months in this bike. We got our first one in October 2019. And we had racks on that within weeks. And so they've only got a couple of changes. And for those that want racks, look, we never went into the rack business as such, and Ronnie that makes them is very individual, makes them, and they're all handmade, and that's why they're probably a little bit more expensive, and I make nothing, virtually nothing out of them. Sometimes I wonder why I do them, but we just started to up production, and Ronnie's got sick again. Now Ronnie's he's a recovering cancer patient, so if we can a bit understanding with that, and we will look at shipping overseas as soon as we've got supply back up. Now, traditionally we've used Wolfman bags years ago. Now, having personally submerged a motorcycle in the Murray River at Tom Goggin Crossing for over 2 minutes, it was awesome to get that bike out and find those bags. Stuff in those bags were 100% dry because it was rolled up and whatever. Wolfman stopped making those, or they stopped coming to Australia. I don't know what happened. And then we've been using these giant loop bags. They've been a good bag. You know, in the view of always being honest, and we're paying for whatever. The clips I find a little bit annoying sometimes. The bags are pretty solid. All the other clips and stuff are really good. They've been down the road. They've been struggled with. They've been great. One of the things I didn't like about them was they didn't have straps going over to the other bag. And when you can lay them across the seat, you can use that to hold them up a little bit and take the weight off the racks. And when you've got, I don't know how many kilos in that, but when you've got a fair bit of stuff and you're really riding the bike and they're getting thrown around, any extra support you can get is good support. So they've been a good soldier. At the moment, we've been very lucky to get some of the prototype bags from ADV Works, and these were due into there's the last of the prototype. Sorry, they were due into stock at Adventure Moto in February, well this month. But I believe there's been a delay with Rona, so they're going to be a bit late. These are a different material. I can't remember what the name of it is, but it's more malleable. But you can feel inside of it the strength of the webbing or something it has in it. They're really good. They're 100% waterproof when you get your 3 rolls at the top. These are the 20-litre version. Now I'll go through the straps and stuff later. Normally, when you roll up your giant loop or your Wolfman bag, you have to lay it out and you sort of bend it over and roll it to get the air out. These have a valve, so you can roll it up, and when you can hear the air come out of it when you clamp it up, and then you nip that up, and it's solid. These straps around the top here, I've probably done about 4,000 Ks with them so far. So at the moment they're getting a thumbs up, but you know, as we always say, until it's been crashed and dropped and ridden on and a whole lot, we'll find out. They've got like a panel in the back here with support inside the bag itself. They've got a blue lining in them, a pair of thongs. I wonder where they were. Someone said they were my grandpa's sandals. Anyway, as we were, they've got a blue lining inside them. You can see the valve in down there. They've got all this, they hold a bit of shape of their own. They've got a panel in the front here. These seem to be a really good thing. They've got these, now Clay, my video guy, Skid, you're in the army. These moly, is that what they call them? Moly. Please to moly you. Seriously, it's Sunday afternoon. So you can strap other bits and pieces onto it. Now, what Steve did do, they put these straps on here that you can use, not use, it's up to you. They go across to the other bag that's on my bike, so they lay across the seat. You've got to come over here, Clay. I want to turn my back on you, so you're going to have to skid around somewhere. Right, and then I can clip this bag on, the whole lot. Now, what Steve also made up, they made another one of these, and these all come with the kit, the bag kit, that has like a loop in the end here. So what you can do, if you're running a rotor pack or something on this side, you can put it through, loop it through, pull it back across, and now this bag is help supported by that rack. Just another feature. Now, everyone who I ride with knows how OCD I am about the bags being on and these staying straight, because nothing annoys me more than a bag hanging down here and all the straps and stuff flapping around. These have been good. They don't do it. They've been really good. So at the moment, we're giving them a thumbs up. I can't see it changing. I need one of my blokes to throw it down the road and gravel test it, but that'll happen. Skid's pointing to himself, so you take one for the team, Skid.
Sure will.
So that's the ADV Works bags. Now we're just going to have a quick break, and we're going to go and check what the questions are, because I'm sure there's been some questions. Oh. Alright, we're going to do this raw, no lighting, because we're all about, we do the whole rehearsals. And Rooster, can you unfit that quietly? Give it a go. We do so many rehearsals and we do so many bits and pieces, and we never say or where was I? We never say But now, we're going to talk about exhaust. Now, we've talked about them before, so in the end now we've decided, after trying a couple of bok choy, eBay ones, local one, Acro, we've decided to go with the arrows. Now, probably the biggest reason we went with the arrows, because we're not vain, is they sound really good, but it's also they're slightly smaller in their overall diameter, so it gives you a little bit more movement if you do happen to bend the exhaust and it doesn't hit on the swing arm. So out of all of our bikes, we've only had one touch the swing arm, and that was one of the Acros, and the Acro's slightly bigger in its bulk. Now I'll get him to shoot down there behind that. So if he comes around there while I'm doing that, I'm also going to talk about the bracket. If you can just come in here, Clay. We've made a bracket up and we're testing it that goes off this bolt here up onto this here. That's just an L bracket, and it's just to give a bit of support to the exhaust. We're testing it, and we will test the crap out of it before we decide if that's a good thing. If you have a set of our racks, it goes straight in the bolt holes, so you can retrofit and you can probably even make the bracket yourself. We just want to test to make sure it's I don't know, it doesn't do something we haven't thought of, so we'll be testing that. And you can see in here, it sits nice and close to our rack, and you can also see the extra clearance we've got now in here. Finish off with really thanks for the comments and all the stuff. We don't ask you to subscribe and we don't ask you to like it, but maybe we should. Maybe if you like it, subscribe. If you have any questions, and I think there's 173 questions asked on one or more comments. I've answered I think every one, or we've done the best we can. We're happy to answer whatever. We are just, we're not Toby Price or Rod Faggoter, but we're just a bunch of blokes that have a red hot crack and we do what we do, but we test everything openly and honestly with no cash for comment. And I do share what some of the other blokes have said, and we could, there's Rooster over there. Like, seriously, he's a good guy, but he can't make a sentence, so there's no point having him on film. Sorry, mate.
Sorry.
No, look, it is what it is. Ask some questions if you want. Sorry about the arms and the ears and how we dress and what we do, but we are who we are, and we're not going to change it. And it's just keeping it real. It's a gang. Do we have a gang sign? Like homies, keep it real. Yeah, I don't know what that one is. So just I'll run through some of the crew. Skid is our medic, and he's also our film cameraman. So that's thumbs up for this Skid. That's Rooster.
There you go.
Rooster's the last guy in and the first guy in and the last guy out. Everything we do. We've got Crash, and if we get enough requests, I will post up why Crash on the YouTube channel, how Crash got his name, and it's pretty spectacular. DJ, he's just a homeless guy we found on the street. No, he's not. DJ's was an apprentice where I used to work, and he's a great soldier, and he does heaps for us too. We've got Stewie Mac the farmer, because he's a farmer, and he can wheel, don't you worry about that. We've also got Big Mickey G, the G-Bang. He's a builder, blokes like Slopey and that as well. We've got Trev, Pete the Wolf, all these sort of people. In the background we've got Captain Strucky and Amy. And we've got our newest crew member Abby, who's only 17 and rides one of our WRs. And Abby's growing up in the forest of Sunny Corner, out west of Sydney, riding single trail with the boys, and she'll keep our guys honest and whatever. So we just run a ride series here in Australia, and a lot of you talk about come and ride in Australia. And when the rain is over, you're more than welcome to get you out here and take you riding. And we're going to go back over the US and do some stuff over there, and maybe bring some people over here. So I just want to thank you for all the support. And it's like I said, we're not a video channel to make money or anything. We're just here doing what we do, and you know, it's a bit rough and ready, and we'll leave some of the more professional stuff to some of the other people. But we are who we are. So thanks for everything. And again, any questions, I'm more than happy to answer. Bye, Mike.
She's dinged. She's fine.
Where's my glasses, Drew?
No. Well, then I'm lost.
Wolfman and the giant loot bags, and there's a Wolfman and Rooster. Excuse me, start again. I'm burping.